Hello, this is Zandre69, and I am doing a post commentary for this Ray All Emeralds run in Sonic Mania. This was a PB that I did 2 years ago. However, I do plan to pick this up pretty soon, like at around the beginning of the summer, so I'll be de-rusting for this regardless, but for now I'll just have to commentate in this format. So this category focuses on just playing Ray, the flying squirrel, his full name. He's a character from Sega Sonic the Hedgehog, which was an old arcade game released back in the 90s, and it was a Japanese only game. But with the games like Plus DLC that came out like a bit later on after its original release, it introduced Mighty and Ray. Ray, in a speedrunning sense, is easily the more interesting character out of the two when it comes to the speedrun aspect. So Ray's main ability is that he likes to fly a lot, fly up and down, just like in Super Mario World with the capability. So let's see how the run looks like with that. Okay, so you can just select a new save file. It can either be the no save file or just a new file like right there that I decided to utilize. So right away, you want to start the run by just doing a 6-hat spin dash about that monitor, and then you just fly up and down here. A lot of these flight explanations will just be like, oh, you just go up and down at the proper timings. So do that right, you go on this path, grab the speed shoes, and you're on the mid path of this level. Grab that invincibility, and then you just want to do the movement there to get to the first ring of the run. And then these special stages are interesting. You want to do like a certain stage movement in order to get each emerald as fast as possible. So that was a good emerald one there. So you just spin dash there and you just work your way to the boss, which is shortly afterwards here. So for this boss, you just want to get 2 hits, hit him there, get that, and then you can use Ray's flight ability while the boss is in its invincibility state, and you can release the jump button and Ray will regain his ability to attack enemies with his jump ability. So there you just do a 6-hat spin dash, get on that spring, spin dash here, ups and downs, grab the speed shoes there, and then you want to do 2 like well-timed jumps there to get as much speed as you can. Roll through that enemy, bounce on that monitor, do these jumps, and then now you're wanting to make your way to the second special stage in the run. And this one is by far the easiest one. You just do lefts and rights that give you enough speed, and there you go. The emerald is just right there. So you just come down this like tunnel, you don't really need to do anything. But this boss is the one just straight from Sonic 2's final boss, but this one's a lot easier. You can just be behind him the whole time, his feet don't attack you, and just get all 8 hits on his bottom, and there you go. So this stage, instead of taking the bottom path, you want to go the upper one. This is because around close to the end of this upper path, like a diversion, there's a special stage ring that'll be nearby, right there. Now this special stage is, I would definitely say, is the second hardest one out of the 7. Those wall bumps are pretty hard to get, and you have to have like a specific speed and angle so you can hit all of those walls just right to grab the emerald like that quickly. Now you just want to work your way right to the next 4th special stage ring, which is right there. Now this one is not too bad. Like at this point, it's just, yeah, getting the right angles and speed and doing the jumps properly to grab the emeralds quickly, like that. Now you're supposed to go through that small opening of that path there, but unfortunately I didn't get that, and I fall down here, which that made me lose about 5 seconds, but not a big deal. So now you just do these cool ramp jumps, and then you just work your way to the boss here. This boss, you can get like 2 early hits in, like that, and then you just follow the boss while he's moving left and right. Get hit so I can take advantage of the iframes you have, and then there you go. A pretty simple boss. So now for this, you want to do like, you want to get a good spin dash here, and if you do so, then you'll fly up there like that. And then right here, this is just, this part of the level is just some basic movement, not much to it. Here, ramp jumps here. And then you can just use raise flight ability, like fly upwards if you feel like your jump is a bit too low, or anything like that. It's very useful. The micro adjustments that you can do with raise jump ability is very nice. Like in Green Hill 2 at the beginning, when you're going on the upper path, if you don't get enough speed, if you feel like you're going to slightly fall short, then you can just fly upwards a bit and save yourself that way. This part of the run is a bit slow. You're just waiting for the cycles to do their thing. And then this is now the, let's see here, the 5th special stage. And this one's not too bad either. Although it is kind of easy to mess up if you don't get the proper angling down. And now, in a little bit, comes the Puyo Puyo boss of this game, which by speedrunners is considered to be a very tedious boss to try and get a good time with, because it's completely RNG based. I'm not the greatest Puyo player, so I get a time here that I consider to be like really good, although to someone else that would just be a time that they could get like pretty okay normally. So yeah, that's unfortunately one of my biggest handicaps when it comes to running this category, since yeah, Puyo is required for a raid to go through. But thankfully, or pretty nicely, I get like a 4-chain there, which for me to get a 4-chain like that, I need good luck. I can't just rely on skill and intuition on the fly. So as you can see, like on my splits, my split time here, my previous PB, this 46.52 was a 134, but I get a 114 here, so I saved a lot of time here. So now you just, when I bought that red spring all the way to the left, go up here and do a spin dash here. And unfortunately, I accidentally hit this rotating like set of 6 bumpers, and that makes me lose about a few seconds there. So now you just do the movement here, and then now you actually are going to be skipping the giant ring because the species that you have right now is pretty useful and saves a lot of time compared to going through the rest of the level without the speed shoes. So now this boss is pretty easy. All you have to do is just pray you get good RNG, and you just, when you see the blue missiles, those are the ones that you can hit and deflect back at the boss like that. And there's like these quick small transitions in between each hit of the boss you get. So if you get a blue missile on the third, or as your third rocket when it's all the way at the bottom, then that's like the worst like possibility that you can get, which I unfortunately get here. So this boss takes about 4 missiles to destroy. The first 3 rockets just target the badniks that are next to the heavy gunner boss here. So this boss is just, yeah, pretty simple. It's just a simple like back and forth of deflecting the rockets, and that's basically it. Jump over these rockets like a pro, and yeah, this boss isn't too bad at all. And then I just get hit there just cause why not? So I slowed down on purpose there before I touch like the goalpost there, because if you go at a certain speed like fast enough and then you go through it, it'll just bounce upwards and it'll land down again, which wastes a bit of time. So that right there was one of the cool flight strats that you can do. It's very nice seeing those pulled off from my own perspective of just watching this as a post run. Now right here, you just do the swoop like that, and then yeah, you just, now you're at this part of the bubble. Now you just do a certain movement to go through that tube there as smoothly as possible. And then right here, I messed up a bit, but thankfully I was able to bounce on one of those dangling microphones. And now this right here is the hardest special stage in the game pretty easily. It doesn't look too difficult, but if you try to do the movement yourself, then yeah, trust me, it's not very easy at all. There's a lot of, or there's a good chance of something going wrong, and then you'll have to spend a lot more time to get a good time with that. And right there, you saw me go through those bumpers and I didn't get bounced back. Well, that's because Ray has like some special side thing going on where if Ray is flying upwards when you're holding left and you're still holding the jump button as well, then he'll just go through bumpers like as if like they don't exist, or their ability to bump you back doesn't exist, which is very useful and pretty neat. So that boss, this boss right here, is basically jumping up, swooping up a bit, and back and forth, and just do that 8 times, then trigger this capsule here. Now, flying battery is where things like truly do get like pretty interesting with the flight strats. There's a few neat flight strats that I did before, but this is where I would say it really shines, because you can save a lot of time if you can do the Act 1 and 2 major flight strats perfectly. So right here, you're trying to combat against the wind working against you. However, if you do these ups and downs well enough, then you can beat the wind and go through like the... So I grabbed that invincibility because it helps a lot with going through this a bit more quickly and safely. Since now this is going to be the level where you get super right here. Now this level is not the easiest one, but it's not that bad. There's two different ways to do this special stage, by the way. The first one I did was the harder way, where you do it legit, and then, well, legit, I should say, like, well, no, the second way is using an infinite mock exploit, which is exclusive to the PC version of the game. You just press the game's designated Y button to activate the instant mock, so you can go from Mach 2 to Mach 3 with only just 2 Y presses. It's a lot in speedruns, however, because you don't need to input any external cheats or anything of that nature into the game in order for it to work. Even though it isn't available on the other versions of the game, it's still completely legitimate, and it's just an advantage you can take of if you do run the PC version of the game. So now right here is just going through the level just like this. Don't mess up too badly, because you'll be taking advantage of another neat flight path here very shortly. So right there I do a 6S spin dash, and then I fly up and down here, making sure I don't accidentally touch the bottom border of the level, like, which would kill me. But I thankfully did that fine here. And then you can also skip the boss here as well. Conveniently, the Mania devs placed the capsule in the bottom right part of this level, like some vertical wrap thing going on, so you're able to do that pretty nicely. Unlike the previous versions of the game where that isn't the case. So now right here, you just do the movement and grab this special stage ring here. And at this point, after grabbing all the emeralds, and if you were to grab a big ring, then you instantly get 50 rings added to your ring counter, which 50 is the required amount of rings you need to be able to activate super. So right there, I accidentally did like a full jump, but that only made me lose about a second. And then you could do a double paper belt strat there, which I do get thankfully, and that saves about 2 seconds, I think. Not a big deal if you miss it, but it's certainly a confidence booster if you do get it though. So now right here, you're just making your way to the end of the level as fast as you can, using raised flight as a nice boost to get there more quickly. And then now for this boss, you just want to go through like that small space in between the ceiling and that like 5 box stack, and you just, what I did there was bouncing just on top of the boss with the super ability, which went pretty well. And then right there, what you just saw was me staying up in the air, just staying in the air so I can skip the results screen, and once like the countdown actually finishes, Ray won't be forced into like that post result screen animation where he does like the two thumbs up. You can just do your spin dash right away, and that saves a fair bit of time. So this is pretty interesting. You want to be like definitely very careful to not get hit, and where I activated super is around where you ideally would want to have your the super ability be activated for this boss. This boss without super is a huge pain. It's very easy to not get a perfect fight. So thankfully, because I'm doing the all emeralds category, I can just go through the boss really quickly like that. So now instead of like doing what the level wants you to do to go upwards on this path, you can just take advantage of Ray's flight here. So you want to be sure you're grabbing like 50 rings in each level. Afterwards, Flying Battery 2. Flying Battery 2 you can do just fine without super, but a lot of these levels now you'll definitely be wanting it. So you can take this bottom path here if you're Ray, just fly like that, and that was a pretty clean flight. I got the nice jump there. Sometimes if you do that wrong, you can actually get yourself stuck on the ceiling of that loop-de-loop, but it doesn't happen there, thankfully. Now this boss is just getting the hits as early as possible, and also standing in the middle of the arena as the boss spawns is the fastest way for it to spawn and then go upwards. I take the middle path of this level because you can fly like that and then just stick on this normal path, but I do miss up a bit there, which isn't a big deal, however. So I stayed on this upper path of the level and not the middle because the upper path has more rings to collect, which that's very important for something that will come up in the Metal Sonic race portion of this level. So just like with the Stardust 1 boss, it's fastest to stand in the middle like that, so the screen can shift as early as possible, which that saves about a second. Get the cool flight here, you stay on this part. You want to hold left at a certain point, get in, hold left, jump, hold right, jump, and then you want to get two specific jumps like with a certain rhythm right after that, and if you do that correctly you'll stay in the wall and you're able to go straight to the ending of this fight that quickly. And Ray's flight here is pretty cool for being able to trigger the capsules early. Some certain other characters like Knuckles and Mighty have to wait for it to come down enough. So now Hydro, this is the most interesting zone with discrepancies between current strats and this PB. There was a new skip that was found for Hydro 1, found by, I believe it was Yuki_S, that's his speedrun name. He found a way to be able to trigger a glitch where you're in a death state and then you do like a certain movement throughout the level and you can make your way to above of where the boss arena is, And then you can actually skip the boss in that state. You can spin dash like straight to where the goalpost is, and if you do all of that optimally, it saves a full minute over what I do here in this PB. So right here, unfortunately, I lose about 9 seconds because I did the movement around the ending here like too safely, and I unfortunately just ate up those 9 seconds because I was being too safe there. So this part right here, yeah, this part of the arena, you still have to like crouch down, and if you're doing the new path for this cutscene, but afterwards you can just quickly work yourself to where the goalpost is, and that's really neat. So just right here though, on this normal path, you just do the movement here, just let the game do its thing, and then get onto this this machine of Robotniks here. This boss takes about 4 hits to defeat, and when you suck him up with this machine, you always want him to be on the right side, because if he's on the right side and he once he comes down from that hit, then he'll just fling to the right, and that'll let you be able to be right next to where this part of the level is, and you don't need to spend a lot of time going to the right afterwards to get here. So that's pretty neat. So right here, you can do that holding left plus holding the jump button, and even if you do mess up a bit here and you hit like one of those cylinders going up and down, you can actually still stay in your flight mode going up, and that's not really something that you see in full game runs, but if you do watch like the IL record for this level with Raid, then you'll definitely see that. Unfortunately here, I mess up quite a lot. I get hit and I don't get a good jump there to get a good burst of speed. Fortunately though, there's a lot of rings in this part of the level, so I'm already like pretty close to getting 50 rings back. And then right here, you want to get like a certain like angle and speed, so you can just like launch like that quickly and go through this the slide that way. And then now I have super enabled. This is pretty important for the fight because it makes the first phase go by pretty quickly. Now this first phase of the fight, unfortunately, is RNG based. I do not get the best pattern here, but it's like the second best out of like the 3 possible patterns you can get, if I recall correctly. So now right here, if you have super, you want to like do this part a certain way where you can just bounce on them like that. Unfortunately here, I messed up pretty hard trying to activate the capsule, which makes me lose about 4 seconds. Overall, the RNG wasn't great on the first phase. That capsule, taking a bit too long to activate, and then what happened halfway through the level made me lose like a lot of time. So Hydro in this PB compared to what's most optimal is easily the most glaring part of the run that could be optimized further. So now right here, you can take advantage of if you have like what do you call it? If you're playing on a keyboard, then you can just hold down the down key and then you can press the up key and do this kind of movement. It's a thing that's allowed. And then you can also do it on controller as well if you have like two different directional buttons that exist, like modules, like the analog stick and the D-pad. So if you're doing this on console, you can press down on either the analog or the D-pad, and then you can just press upwards on the other module input directional thing on the controller. So now around here, you just release a spin dash, grab those like 6 rings, and I grab the shield there just for safety because activating super here is pretty important for a neat time save that you'll see shortly. So after these like 2 birds, there will be like 2 turtles in the middle. Also, I didn't say this already, but this is very synonymous with like the Sonic 2 Sky Chase level. So now here, you just want to stick to the right side of the screen, jump, activate super, and hold down like this. And then as soon as you grab the checkpoint, you'll grab it and you'll instantly die. So that saves like a good amount of time. I'm not sure the exact time save, but I would like to say it saves around like 8 seconds or so. 8 to 10. So this boss is also RNG based. I don't get like the best RNG here, but it wasn't exactly the worst either. So you want like attacks where he's doing a lot of this, like jumping towards you, jumping away, and then jumping towards you, and stuff like that. A good time for this level, the RNG is perfect. IGT wise, like from the top left, would be at 2:27. So the movement you do here is slightly different from like all the other characters. Minus Tails, he does his own thing, but you quickly want to grab all 50 of your rings as early as you can. And then you do a cool slope jump there to get inside this gun. And then I messed up that part a bit, and then I just decided to use super there. This part of the level is interesting. There's a certain speed and angling that you want to have with like your jumps and stuff to go through that flawlessly, which didn't really happen for me, but it went well enough. So now this level, or this boss, utilizes 3 different, like, more obscure Sonic characters. So there's Fang right there. Oh, and then the attack pattern you want to do here is 1-2, 1-2. So I just do get 1 hit there, and then I get 2 here. And then for Bark, you can just go straight to the 2, because 1-2, 1-2, and then 2, that makes it. Ray cannot skip the boss here, unfortunately. Tails can, but that's because his flight is super useful for gaining verticality to go over the huge like wall that's like imposed to the right of where the boss is. So now this is one of the levels where Ray really shines. If you get all the flight strats just right, then he can just blaze through it really quick. So there was one flub there I made like a bit earlier, but now this is where I made a second huge flub. So I hit the wall of that canister there, and instead of bopping the bottom, now I just have to go through this real slow. That in total made me lose about 9 seconds compared to like what a really good time would be. So now just right here, you want to stand in a good position where you're not going down that slide, the oil slide, or triggering that, what do you call it? Well, that handle there to get rid of the smoke. You don't want to do that for a special reason, because if you do activate that handle, then the mechanic that where if the smoke lasts long enough on screen, it'll start to drain your rings. If you don't trigger that, then that effect will never happen here. So even though you saw the smoke around for a while, it didn't drain any of my rings. So now right here, you do a skip. It's pretty precise, but if you get it, then your collision is abnormal, and then you can just go through all these walls, which lets you go straight to the boss if you're high enough, like this. Unfortunately, I kind of messed up a bit there, but you can just quickly recover like that. Oh, and I forgot to say also too, activating super is also what makes that glitch that I did there possible to get the abnormal collision in the first place. You'll see that happen in another level later on. So this part is just getting clean enough movement while getting all the rings, or as much rings as you can. Just spin dash through here, and then you want to try and see if you can like activate this button as quick as you can, which that went fine here. Yeah, all this is just getting clean movement. There's not really any strats here. I messed up that part a bit, but it's fine. As long as I make this cycle right here, like 54 seconds IGT, I believe, which I got there, that's what I want. And then you just stick to this middle path here instead of the upper one, because it's the faster route to take if you're playing the all emeralds version of each character's category. And also too, there's something strange that happens when you activate super and then you grab speed shoes. For some reason, the game just likes to revert your running speed back to like what it would be normally if you weren't using super. So avoiding speed shoes boxes when you're super is important. And then right here, this boss is just waiting a whole bunch. You're trying to take out its armor as quick as possible, which you can do if he lands on these two separate different rock platforms here. And then his armor breaks, and then now you can hit him. And this takes about 6 hits to defeat, just like any other usual Act 1 boss. And an interesting thing to note real quick is that if you go into this boss room way too quickly, there's a glitch that can happen where the boss just doesn't even spawn in at all and you get stuck. So I did a 6-tap there, but then I quickly just slowed down a bit, so it didn't happen. And then right here, I had another major flub. So I'm supposed to go right between where the ceiling is right there and then where the block was, but I accidentally just swooped up a bit too early, so it made me lose about 8 seconds here. And then you wait for that block to move upwards, and then you do a small jump and instantly activate super right after, and you'll end up being inside the block, which then forces you to be put inside the wall, which is pretty neat, and it saves a lot of time. So I was just having good, clean super movement here. Kind of messed up here a bit, but no big deal. So this boss can be a pain to optimize. This is the heavy rider, and he just loves moving left and right, but thankfully I do get a pretty good time here, which made me save about 4 seconds over the usual boss fight that I got with this category when I was running it back then. So now this is one of the coolest levels of the run. You definitely get to see Ray's power of his flight here. So you just bop all these ceilings. Bopping these ceilings is pretty important because it's just like speed dashing, where if you want to conserve your speed, then you gotta hit a ceiling so you don't lose it like gradually pretty quickly. So you just do all these really cool swoops and then you make your way here. Because you're going to be skipping the boss, and this is the spot where you do so. I go up a bit and grab that ring because I didn't have enough rings, and that's a good backup spot to get them back. So right there, you just stand around the edge, close to where the spike pit is. Hold right and jump at the exact same time, and you want to get a certain pause where you're in the ceiling a bit, and if you get that, then you want to press the jump buttons as early as possible, and then you'll get on the wall, and then you'll go over here, and what you're aiming here is that you want to die right in between when the results screen goes away and when Metallic 2 is loaded by the game. Kind of a tight timing, but it's not too bad once you know what to do. Otherwise, that hard locks the game and the run basically dies there if that happens. But yeah, like I said, it's not too hard to do. So now this is just getting clean movement and stuff. Not much to it besides that. Get some cool flights in if you can, like that. Spin dash jump and then just do that, and you can get through like just fine like that. So this level overall went pretty well. 56 seconds is like the time you're looking for when you're at that part of the level, and then the platforms spin for a bit so you can go through and get to the boss here. So now this boss is just a kind of a mess. Like, you're trying to get hits in as fast as you can, but at the same time you're trying to get all of these like small enemies out at the same time. Which, that went pretty okay in this run. So now for this, I take a small diversion right there because I'm grabbing as many rings as possible for another clip that I'll be utilizing with the super transformation animation. And I'm always like being conscious of how many rings I have here. Because of this part right here. Sometimes you won't get enough rings and you'll have to quickly jump back down. So what I did there is I did a random setup, like not really consistent. I just went for it just to see if I could get it, and I did. So that did save the run, and I was able to get a PB here of 46:36. So because I got that boss clip, which doesn't happen often with that setup I did, I just opted not to go for the boss clip. Because it's also very hit and miss, which it makes me lose 8 seconds, but that clip I did earlier saves about 15 to 20, so I just weighed my options here and there and what time I could get if I didn't go for it, basically. Now this boss is really easy with super. Just get all of your jumps in, and bam, you're done. And then around here, you want to just stay in the middle usually, but if you're playing as Ray, it doesn't, or yeah, if you're playing Ray where you don't need the electric shield to do a skip required in TM2, then yeah, you could just skip that cutscene. So rings are not a concern here for this upcoming skip. That saves a lot of time, about 2+ minutes if you get it early enough. You're just making way to the room where you do the skip, not much to it, but the setup for doing the TM2 skip differs depending on the character, and for Ray, it's 2 frame perfects. You want to get an ideal position here, so you want to get on this orb slow enough like that, and then you're facing left, and then get a frame perfect jump, which I don't get here. So the second time though I do get it, so I got it there. That's the position, and then you want to see that when you're timing your second frame perfect with the jump button, so you can get a flight in, and if that happens, then you'll get this clip. There's no subpixels involved with it, like there is for the old TM2 skip setup for Sonic. There's a new one, but it's vastly different than the original, so... Alright, so for this boss, this is the last hurdle of the run. Not exactly the hardest thing, like hardest boss, but you can mess up here pretty easily. So, this first hit, he was in a pretty bad position, because you do not want to get hit by those tentacles. You're trying to get about 5 hits in for these first 2 windows of where he exposes himself to be hit. So now you just have to go through this heavy gunner phase real quick. It's always required to go through for the plus version of the game, at least. And then this is, you want to get 4 hits here. And then this last one should not be very difficult. This one, if you did get your 554, then this will be 2 hits. And there you go. Ray does not go through the Egg Reverie stage of the game. That's only reserved for if you're playing the Sonic and Tails category, Sonic only, or Knuckles and Knuckles. Any other category besides those 3, yeah, that boss is the final boss of the run. And yeah, that is it. That is the Ray Olimos category for Sonic Mania. One quick thing to note real quick is you may have noticed that every time when I used the super ability in the run, the super music didn't play. And that's actually done through an input combination through the game's level select screen, which it looks just like the one from Sonic 2, just as a reference. The code that you put in is 6214, or in the game it would be 06020104. And if you put that in, a chime will play. Then if you just press start, you'll go back to the file select screen, and then from there, you can do runs, and you won't have to listen to the super music. It's completely fine because it doesn't affect anything else with the game, and honestly, listening to the super music all the time does get old a bit quick. So that's the only allowed input combo code that's allowed for full game runs of this game. And that's all I really have to say. This category is really fun, definitely difficult, but the flight strats make it very fun to watch, like I did just now. Like, the visual spectacle of just getting those strats is really awesome. So yeah, hopefully this has a fair chance of getting in, and I had a fun time presenting this run. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and see you later.